This is going to be an overview and summary of the work and assignments completed for Children's Literature EDUC 325. So the first assignment here are the virtual discussions that we would have for our weekly reading genres during our hybrid weeks. And the most critical component to this assignment, I felt like, was in the discussions and reflecting back and forth with the partner that I had, Talon, and because when you reflect in these discussions with others, you maybe are able to learn different concepts or approaches that you would not have considered taking yourself. And, the differences in these concepts and approaches uh, could be attributed to maybe different learning modalities, strengths, and past experiences in and with similar assignments. As if in my future classroom as a teacher, I would do something similar where it involves collaboration with a coworker, another teacher, a colleague, and maybe we both have good starting ideas. So taking parts of each other's ideas to create a single better idea is what I might use that we kind of did in in these discussions too. The next assignment was the reader response blog, which I completed and did mine on the website WordPress. And this was for the genres of children's literature. Each week we would read a different genre and then write a response blog to the book itself. I felt this one might have been my most challenging, only because I didn't do a lot of leisure reading in recent years, so I didn't necessarily have to relearn how to read, but I had to learn what was conducive to me being in a good environment for reading. So eliminating distractions, I realized, was a big part of what I needed to do. And if I wasn't able to do that, I was worried that I might maybe miss critical parts or components to the stories. But again, with this, it came down to the reflection I feel like being quite important. You know, establishing or maybe creating a few different lesson sketches, connecting them to the standards, reviewing the components to a novel or a piece of literature, and just reading each of these different genres provided me and a foundation to have a more diverse approach in my future as a teacher by helping me so that I can select the more appropriate books while still also being sensitive to the content and context in which they'll be read. Um, and then the next assignment, which I feel like best represents me, was the author study in the flipped classroom experience. I feel like it best represented me because it utilizes a classroom concept that I'm very in favor of in the flipped classroom, sending students home with lecture material to listen to and read at home or watch at home, and then coming in to work on the assignments and having the teacher there as a resource to answer questions and clarify things for them. Just the flipped classroom experience, something that I'm strongly in favor and support of. So that's why this might best represent me. But it was also just very fun getting to share about a favorite author of mine from my childhood. His relevance today, I'd say, even is a testament to his work that it's still so prevalent in classrooms. Maybe the activities I feel like could have been a little more engaging. It might have been my delivery or preparation, but using that to learn from and then also getting to see the other examples and approaches of our classmates for their authors, R.L. Stein and Eric Carle, is just provides different opportunities to see ways that might work better for us that we weren't considering in the first place. And then the next assignment was the movie trailer for a children's book, which, if you scan that QR code, will take you to my YouTube channel to see the book trailer for The Littlest Owl, which was what I selected. I just felt this assignment was mostly beneficial in helping to become more familiar with different technologies, using those technologies and practicing with them to develop new literacies like blogging, social networking, podcasting, and video making in this case. And that would just help to extend our abilities to communicate through text, sound, and imagery. I might assign this similar assignment to elementary students in the upper grades, but the lower grades, I would probably use something like this just to get them interested in reading a certain book. The next assignment here the family literacy backpack, which was the one I was most proud of. Um, I had fun coming up with a theme, which was inspiring inventing. The theme I felt was strongly related to the books and the activities, which is what I was most proud of, how strong of a connection I was able to build between those things. And then it was also exciting to see the results and how I could maybe adapt the components to better reach the desired final product based on those results that I got back and the feedback from the family. Um, but maybe if I don't have something exactly like this in my future classroom, I would have something like in a backpack, put a book and a movie from the same story, and then have the students read the book and watch the movie, and then analyze and compare the two. Maybe have a book exchange program within the class where the students trade books, and then after they've both read them, they have a discussion, a reflection on the books themselves. Next assignment was the virtual self-selected library. Just a tool I felt like maybe would provide a way for me to keep the books that I consider useful or valuable organized, and a way that I would also be able to share them with the classroom. And using that to provide choices, maybe for some assignments, is how I would use that as a teacher too. Maybe if I wanted them to do a book report, an author study, or something that was genre or subject specific, I would have that library for them to view, and then they would be able to pick something from that. So I would have a better idea of what to expect in the product, in the final product that was turned into me. The Family Learning Conference was the next assignment that I did, which I did this in place of my library field experience, but it was a lot of fun. It was an activity and an event that took place at the University of Laverne. I believe to it was its goal was to inspire and encourage young children to read. This was done by crossing over of different subjects. One speaker who was there was giving a workshop on 3D printing. The children's author who I shadowed for the last portion of the day uh, was Mrs. California and has written a couple of children's books. So it was just fun getting to see the children being so engaged and interested, and then picking up the books and reading them. And something like that would be an event that maybe I would provide students an opportunity for extra credit if they were able to attend. Um, I mean, it was free. It was outdoors. There were activities for the students. There was lunch provided. So it would be something that I feel as a teacher I would strongly encourage for the students to go to, as it was quite beneficial for them. And then some honorable mentions here. We have different websites. Edutopia was one which we used for more than just poetry, but this screenshot was for an article about poetry teaching tips for new teachers. The next was a book trailer for what was called The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore. But it was a fun trailer. Used to have an app that would go along with it that you would be able to integrate technology with. And as I've echoed before, a trailer like this, which was done so well, and just anything that can make reading more appealing and for students, it would just be a useful tool to have and bring into your classroom. Read, Write, Think, a website that we used as a resource when we were studying graphic novels, any of the websites about banned books, and just making sure you're up to date and current on what's controversial, and being aware of that kind of stuff is valuable to have, and valuable information to have as a teacher. An author like Mo Willems, getting to see how he reads his book, just gives life to the story. The performance that he gives when reading it, something to definitely take into consideration as a future teacher. Festicite, a poetry activity that can be done online. Quiver Dot Day, using an app on a device, integrating technology and literacy. And then we had poetry workstations, which this was a video that showed a teacher implementing poetry workstations in her class, and then we had our assignment to come up with our own. So overall, a lot of great assignments for this class, and definitely, definitely ones that I would consider to be part of my future toolbox as a teacher.